Okay, we're going to walk through how to create your very first checklist. Go ahead and open up Appraiser Trainee Manager and log in. I am working within the trial database, so there'll be some information in here already for us to look at. So now we're in here, we're going to create a new checklist. Go ahead and input the street address. Zip code. You can set your due date here. Click in the drop down box. It'll default to today's date. Let's say this report will be due on the 14th. Now these are defaults that you can create, and what it will do is it'll save the checkboxes. It'll save the time that was allocated to those checkboxes. So I'm going to demonstrate that right now. So go ahead and click this. There's nothing in it right now. As you can see, I have one that has stuff in it already. The whole thing is for testing purposes. I wanted every single checkbox checked with some time allocated to it. But let's create a new one. So you're going to want to check it. Even if I wanted to erase this one, I'm going to check it first and then make the changes and click Save Default. But default 1 is open, there's nothing in there, so let's click it and let's fill in a couple of these. It was an interior inspection, let's give that an hour. Prepared to work file, let's give that 15 minutes. Entering the comps, let's give that 45 minutes, and that's good for right now because we are at a total hours of 2 hours. So let's click Save. So what that did is that saved that on your computer to reference it again in another report. If you find yourself constantly using the same checkboxes for an interior or an exterior, you can have 3 defaults so you don't always have to go through here and check mark it. As you can see, if I uncheck mark it, it is all gone. If I check mark it, it's all back again. So that's how it saves it. So that's a nice little feature. So I'm going to make an error here. I'm going to say this was in 2 hours and 0.25 minutes. If I try to save this, I'm going to get an alert because on the log forms, if you've ever noticed, the state requires that the hours are in whole numbers and not in decimal form. So what you need to do is adjust your numbers. So maybe you didn't spend that much time on the inspection, you can lower that to 45. You can play with your numbers to make it work to a whole number. If you were not part of the inspection, let's say the supervisor went out, did the inspection his or herself, and you were back at the office doing only maybe data entry or a comp search on it, and you don't have this check marked, this area down here will not pre-populate. So what you need to do is mark what kind of inspection was done on that property. If the supervisor only did an exterior, you're going to select exterior. If it was a full, you would select full. If it was a field appraisal review, click that. But let's go ahead and click set it back to what we had set. And as you can see, if you were part of the inspection, based on these checkboxes, will automatically fill in these. So the only time that you have to fill these log types out is when you were not part of the inspection. So you're going to select your supervisor. It'll default, if there's only one supervisor in your program and in your database, it will default to the first appraiser or the first supervisor in the list. If there's more than one, you will need to make that selection. We cannot make that selection for you. So from here, we're going to save, sign, or close. We're going to go ahead and save and sign it. So what that'll do is save the file in the database, but it will also create our PDF file for the supervising appraiser to sign. So we'll go ahead and click Save and Sign. PDF has been created. Click OK. And as a trainee, that's all you need to do. Everything else has now if you click edit, you will see this record, 12345 Fifth Avenue in Sarver, the one flag. So when a PDF has been created, there will be a flag of a number 1 or number 0. If the field is a 0, the PDF has not been created, which means the supervisor cannot sign a PDF that has not been created. So what you can do here is, if you want to see that checklist that you just created, go ahead and find the file, right click it, view/print PDF. So what that'll do is it'll open up a PDF viewer within the program. You can scroll down to make sure all your check marks were correct. You can see the signature is in there. You can see the trainee name, trainee license number, and you can tell that it has not been signed yet by the appraiser. From here you can print and save it, but typically you won't do that until the supervisor has signed it. In a paper-free environment, if you run your office paper-free, whenever the appraiser signs this, it'll have a 1 here for the file is locked. So what you can do then, either the supervising appraiser can save that file as she's going through it, or you can come back in here. We'll view this one since it already has been signed. We can view this, scroll down, make sure the supervising appraiser's signature is there, and from here we could save it to our work file that is possibly on a server on some type of backed up system somewhere. Instead of printing them, having them sign them, scan them in, attach them to the report, and then keeping that paper file. This removes all paper for the logs. So that is the simple demonstration on how to create a checklist.